It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. I'm Angelo, Mad Dog the Scipio, and this is America's Popcast. What's the buzz? I'm joined tonight by Hurricane Chapman. Amelia Hurricane Chapman.
Right?
How you doing, Amelia?
Oh my goodness, we just barely got through.
How
with
did
the
you
hurricane.
survive last night? Were you all right?
Oh my gosh, we had minimal damage, but thank goodness. But a lot of us around here did have a little bit more damage. But the water is like receding more higher than it has been now. So
Amelia the Pitbull Chapman is now for this episode called Amelia Hurricane Chapman. There's Hurricane Milton just Geoffrey Mark's going to have a fucking ball with that one. Hurricane Milton just came through South Florida and I kind of wiped the floor with Florida. God, man.
Yeah, in the middle of Florida, it just went like that.
Oh, horrible stuff. We had one hell of a show last night. I got to tell you, our friend Dean Butler from Little House on the Prairie will be back with us in just a couple of weeks. And man, what a great guest. What an amazing guest. Oh, and we are working on something, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to say anything to Amelia. I wanted to come on the air and do this.
Okay.
We received word. We're verifying it now. We received word from Barbara Streisand's people.
Oh, wonderful.
That she loved the episode with her sister Rosalind Kind.
Oh, that's amazing.
That we did. And we showed Barb and Ros together singing in Israel, of all places. And we're verifying to make sure that email did in fact come from her. We're not doing anything until we verify it.
Perfect.
So,
yes. Yeah.
That's it. But we have an amazing return guest tonight. He is show business renaissance man, Geoffrey Mark. So I had to look up the word renaissance. Do you know that renaissance means a man of many talents and skills and acquisitions? And you are that man, Geoffrey Mark?
I are.
How the fuck are you, brother?
I am a fuck good. And Rosie Kind is a dear friend of mine. She was at my 50th anniversary party on Sunday.
Yeah.
And Dean is a friend of mine too. So you got good people.
Yeah, we do. Yes. Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
And now you got me.
Yes, we have you.
We are working on, I could say it now, we can, because we've already cleared it with one level of his level. We are working on getting Kevin Spacey here. Wow. We have been in contact with Kevin Spacey's people, and there is interest. He has expressed, we are told he has expressed interest in coming on the show, and that would be wonderful.
Kevin is brilliant. Kevin is charming. Kevin is handsome. Kevin does an awful lot of charity work. And I am proud that I know him, and you're going to have a great time with Kevin.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can expedite him getting on here, do it for me, bro. Let me tell everybody about Geoffrey Mark. Geoffrey Mark has been referred to by more than just a handful of people as the Encyclopedia Britannica of show business history. And he should know a thing or two about it. He's written a number of books on show business personalities, a couple just on Lucille Ball. 2 books on Lucy, right? And one on Ella.
Two on Ella. One on Lucy already out. One on Lucy coming out next year.
That was it. Okay.
One on Ethel Merman, the Family Affair cookbook, and then next with Kathy Garber, and then next year you're going to get the new Lucy book and my memoirs, The Devil Was Born in Brooklyn.
Yay.
And speaking of the Family Affair cookbook, we have Johnny Whitaker making his 4th return with us. Johnny has quickly become a dear friend of mine, and we have a lot in common, and he's got a wicked sense of humor, and I love it.
He does.
Yeah.
Johnny and I have been friends way over 30 years, and I just saw him about 2-3 weeks ago out here in the desert. So yes, it's one big happy, family with you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, bro. It's amazing. You know, we have all these people who love our show.
Yes.
And I'm grateful. And I made the announcement last night, 15 million subscribers.
Yes.
15 million verified. Okay. Kiss that big hairy one. 15 million verified subscribers.
I'll even lick it if you ask me nicely.
Yeah, I'm telling you what. We got, look, kiss it, lick it.
Yes.
Buy me flowers and candy. Better be part of the deal, bro.
That's the easy part.
There you go. There you go. And so, for those haters, we have, believe it or not, Geoffrey, it's hard to imagine this. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but we have a hater or two out there.
Oh dear.
Of yours or of me?
Probably of me.
Oh no, we of us. There's some people, charming as I am, some people have issue with the Mad Dog. To which I say, bufungal. There you go. So, my friend, you have been missing in action, MIA for a little bit. Geoffrey Mark is an author, playwright, nostalgic lounge and entertainment song stylist, and an Emmy Award winner, by God. And what have you been up to, kid? I call him kid. He's a year older than I am. Call him kid.
I just had a birthday. I'm even older now.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, the party for my 50th anniversary in show business was this last Sunday, and my birthday was about 10 days ago. And I'm feeling great. I've not been missing in action. I've just been working. And
what do you do? What kind of work are you up to these days?
Well, I've got 2 books I have to finish, and I have a weekly radio show and podcast. Geoffrey Mark Plays Ella.
Yeah,
and I've been celebrating the Jewish holidays. The Ella Fitzgerald Foundation. The people who run it are Jewish and had me out to their home in the Pacific Palisades for Rosh Hashanah. So I've been busy going to LA and working on my books and working on my show and doing research and helping other people in the business, some younger people who need a helping hand. And so I've not been like hiding in my house. I've just been busy.
Geoffrey Mark goes to the Pacific Palisades. I go to Philadelphia and meet up with a guy named Nicky Knuckles. Okay. That's the difference between the crowds that we hang with. Okay. When in LA, eat cheese and grapes like Caesar. On the East Coast, hope not to get shot by Louis Lownuts,
Now be nice, because I have family who are Italian.
That's hard to imagine.
Oh no, seriously.
For real for shoot?
My great aunt Anna, so my maternal grandfather's sister, married an Italian man, converted to Catholicism, raised her children Catholic, and I have all kinds of relatives out there who are Italian Catholics, and somehow we all get along, and I have great respect, and you should show more respect. How's that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would do that, but I'm kind of like this. I'm this diamond in the rough. I'm a gem. I'm a sweet person. I know I am, but I can also be an asshole. I know that as well. But I'm a kind and funny asshole. Yes, this is true. I am.
Just because you have
I respect everyone. Here's the thing, though. On a serious note, I did not know anything about your Italian heritage.
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea, bro.
I was taught to respect. I was taught to not look at the differences, but what we have in common.
True.
In fact, if you talk about people acting properly, my uncle Frankie, Italian, passed away before his daughter Lillian got engaged. So when her husband Tony, her husband now, her boyfriend Tony, wanted to get engaged with her, they came to my grandfather because he was the eldest person in the family, even though he was Jewish.
Yep.
And asked my grandfather for her hand, and I got to observe that. And
that's respect. That's old school.
Respect. And I think you should remember that just because you have big feet doesn't mean they don't make cement shoes your size. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about that.
I love it. I love it. One of the things that we love about Geoffrey Mark is that he's got his nose to the grindstone on kind of a little bit of everything in show business. One of the things I'm fascinated with, Jeff, particularly these days, Broadway is actually reporting record profits for the first time since 2018, right before the pandemic. Why do you think people are going back to spending money on live shows on Broadway?
I think there are. First of all, I'm happy to hear it. Very happy to hear
it. It's true. Straight up.
The record profits are because they're charging hundreds of dollars a ticket.
It's crazy.
When I was first going to see Broadway shows as a young person, you know, for $6.88 or $5.88, you could get a ticket downstairs. You know, I think $8.88 or $9.88, you sat in the orchestra section.
Yeah.
So the amounts of money it costs to produce, the people who are the big television stars and movie stars who are coming to Broadway won't work for $5,000 a week for only $5,000. They want $50,000 or $100,000. So everything goes up, but live theater. Somebody asked me last night, of all the things I do, of all the different media, what is my favorite? And my favorite is anywhere where there's a spotlight and there's an audience in front of me. So I loved doing theater. I got started doing in theater 50 years ago. Shall I tell you the story of my first show?
Yes.
In front of an audience?
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Sure. Professional. Well, amateur, the first one I was 4 years old, and they put a beret on me and they penciled in a mustache, and I sang Dites-moi from South Pacific. And when I was finished, it was like, well, I don't want to do anything other than this. Okay, I've decided. But it took me till I was 15 to get into professional show business. For those of you who have never heard me talk about my background before, home life was not spectacular. And I had already met my partner, Joel, may he rest in peace, in high school, and a wonderful woman who is still my sister, who lives in Aruba now, Phyllis Limpert-Viana. And my father went out of his mind one day, and I called her and said, you better pick me up because I think he's going to kill me. Yeah. She said, grab a piece of sheet music and meet me downstairs in 5 minutes. And she was there in 5 minutes. I had this sheet music, and the sheet music was from Where's Charlie, a show Joel and I had fairly recently starred in together. And we're driving and we're driving and we're driving. And it's like, Phyllis, where are we going? She said, we're going to Washington, D.C. because you're going to audition for a show.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
That's how she told you about the audition, by taking you there.
I wasn't dressed. I wasn't dressed up. I had no photo, headshot. I had no resume. I mean, I was a color green the grass never gets.
I hear you, brother.
And my name was called, and I went up on a riser where they had a pianist. And I sang in a voice I never heard before. I'll give you a little snatch of it. Not snatch, that's the wrong word. Snippet is better, because
I'm good with snatch.
Yeah, I've heard that about you. But anyway, I got up there. I'm going to be serious. Besides the snatch, that's hard to do, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Yes, sir.
I got up there and I sang, my darling, I wanted to call you my darling. And I just kept my eyes closed and thought of Joel. And I got the job.
Wow.
And not just in the chorus, but I got a part in the show. This was Little Abner at the Colony 7 Dinner Theater just outside of Washington, D.C. And I've been working ever since. My parents threw me out about 4 months later, and I've been on my own. And as we have discussed before, my first movie at 16, my first off-Broadway show at 17. I didn't get to do Broadway until Bring Back Birdie, and that was such a magnificent flop, but so much fun. I talk about what happened there in my book, but I did 4 off-Broadway shows, and I toured in summer stock. So I love the theater, and I'm happy to see it resuscitating.
We spoke to Dean Butler last night about his love of live performance. Does that ever leave you? Does the craving a live audience ever go away, regardless of how famous you become, Jeff?
I think that depends on who you are.
If
you get started in the theater, I don't think it ever leaves you, because it's your first.
Good.
It's like your first orgasm.
I like this. Go ahead.
No, meaning you remember it. You remember everything about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. But for people who started in television without a live, let's see, the one camera shows that don't have audiences, or films, if that's where they got started and they had no background in live, then they may just say, no, I've done enough live things. Thank you. I'd rather be in the controlled universe of one camera and a director and a set and what have you. It's not that I don't enjoy doing television or making films. I've done them.
Sure.
But I prefer Broadway theater, nightclub work, off-Broadway theater, summer stock, dinner theater, theater in the round, children's theater. I did all of it, and I loved every single second.
Why are people in the theater, Geoffrey Mark, so hesitant to help other people?
Jealousy.
Interesting. And truthful.
That fast. Look, a party was thrown for me Sunday for my 50th. There are people I love who couldn't make it because they were under the weather. There are people I love who couldn't make it because they were out touring, working. That working is always a wonderful excuse. Yes, work. You must work. But there were people who didn't even respond to the invitation. I'm not going to hold it against them, but they're jealous. Right. If one is extremely intelligent or talented or really good looking, or a woman is blessed between the shoulders, or a man is blessed between the legs, people get jealous. Why isn't this happening to me? And the answer is because you didn't get off your ass and make it happen. Because we all have talents of different kinds, and some aren't theatrical. I appreciate someone who's really good at hospitality, who invites me to their home and makes me feel comfortable and serves a nice meal with nice china. And I appreciate that. That's their talent. And, yay, good for you.
Yeah.
But I have been dealing with jealousy all of my life because I'm different. And take away the genius IQ, take away the God-given talents, because I cannot take a bow for being smart, take a bow for being talented, take a bow for being redheaded. And I've had jealousy about being redheaded. People who are jealous my career started so young. I said, well, would you like to get thrown out at 15? Is that something you aspired to? Or that I met the love of my life when I was 13? Did you want to see the love of your life getting beaten by his father because of you? Is that what you aspired to? And despite whatever negatives came along, I'm a survivor. I so love making people happy.
That's the first time, Geoffrey, that's the first time I have ever heard you put it in such clarity,
Thank you.
in such stark, realistic terms, because yes, you are successful, but yes, you are in demand, and that's absolutely true. But it's also very true that you missed that love at home, that compassion at home, that's something that other people have in spades that you didn't have in maybe trinkets. The fact
I was never a teenager. I went from being a kid to being
an adult.
Like this.
Yep.
Well, you can crawl up into a ball. One can crawl into a ball and lick one's wounds and blame the world and do nothing. Or one can say, this sucks donkey dick.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to be like they are.
Yeah.
And I already recognize the intellect, the talent, the good looks, the red hair, no gag reflex. I have these things. He didn't even hear me because
I know he didn't. I was kind of waiting for them to.
I absolutely did. I'm waiting for it. Go ahead.
No, I was waiting for you to spit out your coffee. And
no, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. You are a handsome guy. You are talented. You've got amazing red hair, and it looks beautiful with that little patch of white there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's nothing that you've said is out of line or untrue.
Yeah, you did miss something because she's giggling and she knows what I said. I have no gag reflex. That's the part you missed.
Oh, right, hold on. Okay,
there you go. Danny Thomas will appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go.
I just couldn't see myself sitting around some place. Oh, if I would have tried, I could have been a big star. Oh, if I would have put, they would have. Yeah, that's a hand job.
Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What did you do? That's the question.
Well, what I did was got out there, and swallowed my pride and swallowed my fear, and someone's got to get the job. I got my first one. When I arrived back in New York after a very brief time in college on my own, paid for by me at 15 and a half.
Good for you.
I got back to New York right before Christmas of 1975.
Okay.
By mid-January of 1976, I was rehearsing an off-Broadway musical.
And you're probably, what, 16, 17 at this point?
Yeah, 17.
All right.
I already made a film, And the next year I was working at the Playboy Club. I just didn't see what else I could do. No one was going to support me. No one was going to give me a career. No one was going to do anything. I was no one's priority but mine.
There you go.
And I said, well, I better take good care of me then if I'm the only one doing it. Now, I'm not saying I did it all perfectly or that every decision was wonderful. No, I fucked up.
How did you get people to like you? Was it difficult, the process of getting people to like you, to be endeared to them?
The problem was not getting people to like me, because you can't get people to like you.
No.
They either like you or they
don't.
Or they don't.
The problem was getting...
He's absolutely right.
The problem was getting me to like me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I was taught at home that I was unattractive, unlovable, incredibly untalented, had a terrible singing voice, wasn't funny, and was wasting my time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when they kicked me out, they didn't stop all contact. Looking back, if they would have just gone out of my life,
yeah,
I would have been a much happier person.
I'm sure.
And I don't mean any disrespect. My father is gone many, many years. My mother is still alive. We haven't spoken in like 12, 13 years. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Hey, it happens.
But
Jeffrey, I am up against a hard break, Jeffrey. Pardon the interruption. I got to do this, and we will be right back right after a word from our sponsor at Manscaped.
Yeah.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code Wrestling Future for a generous 20% discount. That's enter Wrestling Future for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we.
Tonight on What's the Buzz, the triumphant return of Mr. Palm Springs, Geoffrey Mark.
Before you say one more thing, sir.
Yes, sir. I know what's coming. Go ahead.
My boys are the size of 2 watermelons.
God bless you.
Have your sponsor send me the package. I will use it, and I'll come back on and I'll do a commercial for you.
I have to tell you, we had somebody do that. We had, I swear to you, can't make this shit up, folks. We had gossip columnist, celebrity gossip columnist Will Keck on this show. You know Will.
Yes.
Okay. We all hang in the same circles, folks. Will Keck
I'm laughing at that.
literally pulled out his Manscaped on the air and started shaking.
I was like, oh my God. He
Can't make this shit up. Can't make this up.
Have your sponsor send me one of their packages, and I will come on the next time. I will shoot a commercial for them for free because it is a good product, I hope.
It's a wonderful product.
And it is a useful thing for men. So send me one.
They've been with me for 5 years now. I love Manscaped. Let's talk a little bit about one of the things that you and I don't do enough is talk seriously about the other side of show business. We talk about, the glitz, the glamour, the sequins, the sparkles. We don't talk about the bodies lying in wake. What happens when you don't make it? What happens if you're no longer the flavor of the month? What happens if? So what happens, Jeffrey, to people who were once, toast of the town that now, are lucky to get a job like Lana Clarkson, hostessing at, El Cantina Burrito. You know what I mean?
I would have made an Ed Sullivan joke about Toast of the Town, but no one would have gotten it except
me.
In the world. Yeah,
you and me, maybe.
Because Toast of the Town was the original name of the Ed Sullivan show.
Yes,
and I'll bet half of you watching and listening don't even know who Ed Sullivan
was. Exactly.
That's okay. Look, Lucille Ball did something very intriguing in front of me. She, back in the mid-'80s, did a symposium at what is now called the Paley Center in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't perform. It was Q&A. Ask her questions and she'll answer you. And there was a young acting student there, a young lady, I'm assuming she was a lady, who began in one of those good heavens, take out your adenoids voice, whined on and on about how she was going to acting school and couldn't get a part and they wouldn't cast her in anything.
Yeah.
And Lucille reached down, because she was at a podium, reached down to get her bag. She began to tease out her curls. She reapplied her lipstick. She adjusted both bra straps, looked at the girl and said, "Are you still whining?"
Oh.
She said, "If you're in an acting school," I'm looking at her like she's sitting here. "If you're in an acting school and you're not getting parts, it's one of two things.
Yeah.
You have the wrong school or you have no talent. You can fix the first, you cannot fix the second. Get off your ass and do something.
Oh, brother, you just opened up the Pandora's box. Let's talk. Oh, man, do we have to talk about that one?
So put that aside for half a second, because
go ahead.
You brought up two parts of it.
Yes, sir.
Or the people who get in the business have success and they're no longer the flavor of the month.
Right.
I was very close friends with Bob Schiller. Bob Schiller was one of the original I Love Lucy and Lucy show writers. He wrote for All in the Family. He wrote for Maude. He wrote the episode where Edith gets raped.
Yeah.
You know, along with his partner, Bob Weisskopf. May they both rest in peace. Bob and I were very, very, very close friends. Bob's wife didn't like me. And that happens with a lot of my male friends. Their wives don't care for me. I think they're afraid of you don't trust your husband that he's straight. You're afraid he's going to get too close to me. But we went to a Democratic Party fundraiser together. They took, and she said, let's go for a walk. Okay. And she said, Jeff, you're reaching an age where you can't do what you used to. I'm meaning the kind of parts I was playing.
Right.
You've got to learn to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
If singing isn't bringing you income, do comedy. If comedy isn't bringing you income, write. If you can't write, produce and direct. If you can't produce and direct, go back to something else you're good at and keep revolving it. And the joke, I have 150 hats that I keep revolving. That's how I've stayed alive all these years. You reinvent yourself. At 15, I was this sparkling green as grass kid that a lot of people took under their wings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. At this point, I'm being called a goat. I'm being called a show business icon. I pass it forward. I work with younger people who need the kind of help I received.
Right.
And I'm really good at what I do. I'm singing better than I ever have in my life. I'm fucking funny. And I'm a wonderful writer. And happily, my services on some levels are still being used. The Emmy still sits behind me in the video screen here.
Yeah.
The Grammy is still up on the wall.
Yeah.
The having certificate from Congress, a certificate from the California state legislature. I'm a lucky guy. But part of the luck is I take a shower, shave, put on the makeup, suit up, put on the sparkles, and I'm ready.
Absolutely.
We were talking, for all of you watching and listening, we were talking before the show started in the electronic green room that both of your hosts had problems today. We were almost afraid the show wouldn't happen. I didn't get a chance to tell them that the electricity in my house was turned off all day.
Oh, no.
I was out and about. I got my COVID and flu shots. I ran errands. Just as I got home, the air conditioning came on with just enough time to sparkle for you and to pour some coffee.
You look great. Amazing.
Exactly.
This is last minute sparkle. Had I planned, there'd be sparkle. But I'm happy with what we have today.
It's wonderful. Absolutely.
Yes.
I show up. I make the best. I do my best every single time. And you know what? And when I don't do my best, that's when things don't go so well.
Geoffrey, you mentioned something earlier about an acting student. Let's talk about acting schools. I'm not a big fan of acting schools because I think they do a talented person a great disservice. And I will equate it to professional wrestling. Yes, and I will.
Okay.
If you are a talented, skilled pro wrestler,
yes,
and you are picked up for your skills,
yes,
okay, clearly somebody sees something in you that they want to showcase. Why take that skill, that talent, that quality, and send it into a performance center where you're retrained, reskilled, rewired to do things that are unbecoming to the way you're used to working? For example, you have a certain way of working.
Yes.
That nobody can tell you how to do it because it's the Geoffrey Mark way. Take that for a moment. And take Geoffrey Mark and put him into, let's just say, Uta Hagen's acting class.
You're so close. Go ahead.
Okay. And tell me if that Geoffrey Mark is going to be the Geoffrey Mark that comes out of Uta Hagen's training school.
All right. I have to tell you a story because you're so close. It's almost scary.
Okay, go ahead.
Having natural talent is a blessing from God or the universe or the stars, whatever you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you have the talent doesn't mean you know how to develop it. Okay? You don't walk on a stage and know. I have this conversation on Sunday. How to find your light. What do you mean? What do you mean find your light?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got all these lights shining on you. You want to look your best, but you don't want them staring you in your eyes so that your eyes burn out and you can't see anything.
Exactly.
My Joel taught me. You go on stage, you shut your eyes, and when you can feel the light here, you're in your light perfectly, and you'll be able to see everything.
Yes.
Well, Joel happened to be in love with me, but if he hadn't taught me that, or we would sing a Gershwin song, and whatever Gershwin song you like, and halfway through he'd start playing another Gershwin song, but he had me continue with the first one. We did this for months. I said, I called him Jake. Jake, what are you doing? He said, because if you can do this here with me, with another song playing behind you, when you sing with orchestras, you won't get lost.
God bless him.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is stagecraft to be learned at a school. How to breathe properly when you're singing can be taught. How to sing, I mean, you either can or you can't, but you can make the gift better at a good school.
It's like playing Heart and Soul in a CA split.
Yes.
People don't understand. Heart and Soul is actually two different songs, really.
Put together.
Yeah.
So originally I had a scholarship at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and that just sort of fell apart. When you read the book, you'll hear the story. So I went to dancing classes because I used to be able to dance, but I was never going to be Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire. But in those days, you had to dance to be in summer stock.
Sure.
So I took I went to ballet lessons and jazz lessons and tap lessons, so that if I got a part in a job where they required dancing, I could do it. I wasn't going to be the big featured soloist, but I could do it. I've taken about 9 singing classes in my entire life. And you know what? I learned what I needed to learn to develop my talent. But for acting, for figuring out a character, for giving it a backstory, for being able to take the talent and actually act above and beyond a musical comedy character.
Sure.
I studied with Stella Adler. Not the Stella Adler studio with somebody else. I studied with Stella Adler. And I also
legendary acting teacher. Amazing.
And I also studied with her voice person about talking. Because having grown up in Brooklyn, New York, and Randallstown, Maryland, I had this really strange Fran Drescher.
I hear you, brother.
mixed with the guy who narrated the Waltons.
I hear you.
That Mid-Atlantic thing.
Yeah.
And then my whole family like Fran's character. Fran doesn't talk like that in real life. She exaggerated it for humor.
Of course she did. Absolutely.
She's a wonderful woman. She wrote the new forward for the new Lucy book for me.
Wonderful.
For free.
She's a sweet, sweet woman who I would love to be able to talk to.
and she's the head of our union. So yay!
There you go. Beautiful.
So having that kind of help. Then there are the people who've mentored. You may think this is a little thing. There was a woman named Jan Waldman.
Okay.
Who at one time was the booking agent at the Duplex in New York City, the original Duplex.
Yep.
She also was a manager. She was Joan Rivers' manager early on. When I came along, she had left the Duplex. The Duplex is where I made my nightclub debut in New York. And she opened up her own club, Jan Waldman's. And at the first anniversary of her club, she invited in the cabaret performers she liked. And I was lucky enough, along with my friend Linda David, to get involved. And I sang, they say that Falling in Love is Wonderful from Annie Get Your Gun. And I finished and she pulled me aside and she said, "What are you screaming at?" I said, "What do you mean screaming?" She said, "You're singing into a microphone. You're not belting it out. There's no second balcony out there. There's just these 50, 60 people right here.
Yeah.
Learn how to sing to them. Learn how to sing intimately. Learn how to tell a story with your..." Well, that's all I needed was to be told that, to become 100% better at being a nightclub performer.
Remarkable.
Wow.
So it's all the mentors
Remarkable.
along the way. And you know, you guys know, and those of you again who are watching and listening, I could take up this whole hour, just the names of very famous people who said, "I'm going to help you." Just their names would take up an hour.
I'm sure.
Why, you know, Steve Allen and Milton Berle and Lucy Arnaz and Jack Carter and on and on and on. I mean, Mary Martin, it just goes on and on. Why? I hope because I'm a nice guy. I hope because they saw talent. And I hope because they saw my burning ambition. Because without the burning ambition, you're going to be doing karaoke for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. No question about it. And there are plenty of karaoke bars and plenty of frustrated entertainers filling those karaoke bars. As long as they have some kind of an audience and a microphone in front of them, they're happy people.
There's a man in my life. I won't mention his name. I don't want to embarrass him. He's he pushes. He came out to the desert. He has a magazine and he wanted to talk about giving me that cover story. Oh, great. Let's have dinner. We did. And then he wanted me to go to a gay bar karaoke kind of place. Now, those of you who have watched me here with our friend Mad Dog before know that I'm 35 years clean and sober. I don't really like hanging out in bars.
Right.
Sure.
And I don't want to sing karaoke. I'm a professional.
Sure.
If I'm going to sing, unless it's for charity, I'm going to get paid. Well, the poor people who were singing at this place, no one paid attention. I mean, they would finish singing and you'd hear crickets.
Right.
You'd hear people trying to pick each other up, basically.
Sure.
Having little drunken conversations. He put my name in without asking me.
Oh, man. Not good.
And I was announced. Okay, now I can't back out because that did get some attention when they announced my name.
Yeah.
I asked the karaoke guy, "What do you have?" And he happened to have something I have sung to before, a Nelson Riddle arrangement of All of Me. And I got up there and scattered through it. When I finished, the entire place stood up and cheered for me for 5 minutes.
Wow.
Now, that's nice.
Yeah.
But what about the poor bastards who had to follow me after that?
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, right?
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
They're not professionals. They're not rehearsed. They don't know. I'm not there looking at lyrics. I'm playing to the audience like I'm doing a nightclub gig.
Sure.
They're standing there looking at the words like this. It's unfair to put me in that position with them. And I want to get paid, baby. You know, I don't give it away for free. Being a professional is just that. It means you're getting paid to work.
Absolutely.
And I do tons and tons and tons of charity work, happily so. But if I'm appearing somewhere where someone's making a profit, some of that profit better fall into my pocket, or you'd better have a very large penis you're sharing with me. One or the other, but I'm not doing it for free.
Exactly. Pitbull, questions for Geoffrey Mark.
You were mentioning earlier about Broadway. Has there been a Broadway show that you have not been in that you would like to be in?
My dream, and it's a pipe dream only because of the lengths it would take to make this happen. I would like to star in Hello, Dolly, playing Dolly Levi as a man, not in drag, not as a woman, not effeminately.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like the 2 extra songs they put into the show for Ethel Merman when she did it on Broadway. I want to sing the entire score. I want to play him as a guy. And I think that would run for years because the show is one of my absolute favorites. I'm made just for it. And of course, with the beard and being Jewish and being older, everyone thinks I should play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
The only reason I don't see it is that Tevye doesn't have any really great songs.
Well, not only that, I don't. You are far too gregarious to play Tevye.
I'm also an actor, sir.
Exactly. Tevye, it was, if you're not familiar, Amelia, with Fiddler on a Roof, okay. Tevye was this, how would you describe him, Jeffrey? He was a traditionalist.
He was a dairy man who had a little house and a barn, and he literally, with a push cart, sold his milks and cheeses and butters to the other Jews in the shtetl where they were living, called Anatevka in Russia.
He was very humble.
Very
humble guy.
He had 5 daughters. They weren't destitute, but they had dirt floors. They had good china for holidays, and they ate well on holidays, but every day was like soup and stew and bread and butter, and that's about it. He had desires to do better for his life and his family. And the Russia of the time was doing pogroms and chased all the Jews out of their village, shtetl in Yiddish, and he was going to the United States. And that's pretty much what happened to all of my relatives who came here. Not immigrants, refugees.
Absolutely, sure.
So I've heard all the stories. I know what it was like.
Yeah.
And I could play the part just fine. Just, there are such wonderful songs. And other than To Life, L'chaim, everybody else sings them.
Yeah.
So I would want something where I get to sing more.
I would love to hear, I would love to see and hear Dolly from the masculine perspective. I would love to see that.
Yes.
It's never been done that I know of. And I think that the only 2 people I could see pulling it off, it would be either Geoffrey Mark, and believe it or not, the other guy I think who could pull it off brilliantly as you, and I'm going to put you on his level, is Kevin Spacey. I think Kevin could pull it off.
Kevin can do anything. Kevin, I mean,
exactly.
There are two actors who I think of my generation or of the current generation, Tom Hanks and Kevin Spacey, can do anything. They're so talented. I would love Kevin to be my Horace Vandergelder. Now that would be a show.
Ah, there you go.
I have been told.
There you go.
I have been told that Horace Vandergelder, the character, is based on my great grandfather, William Zubkoff.
Oh, sure.
Who had a hay and feed store in Bridgeport, Connecticut, not in Yonkers, but the kind of man that Horace is. I never met my great grandfather, but I did meet his wife, my great grandmother. And boy, did I hear stories about what
I'm sure you did, brother.
So I'm told that because whatever family money there used to be before the stock market crash, my grandfather provided great grandfather all of the feed and grain for all of the Barnum's animals.
Geoffrey, what's the best and worst piece of advice you ever got, and from whom, regarding entertainment or whatever it is you were doing? What's the best and worst piece of advice that you ever got? And from whom?
The best piece of advice I ever got, other than reinvent yourself, was from Rip Taylor. I told this story before. He came to see me perform in Los Angeles, took me out to dinner, and he said, "Geoffrey, you are magic on stage, but you're dressed like a fucking accountant." And got me to change my image. And I went from being a celebrity to being a star of some kind. So that was great.
Yes.
The worst advice was from my mother. You haven't got any talent. Stop doing this.
What's the difference between celebrity and stardom?
Being the lead in something, being the like I've had the Geoffrey Mark show. I've had Geoffrey Mark in. That's a star. Celebrity is somebody who is well known and liked. I've been a celebrity a very long time. The star thing really didn't happen until Rip maybe changed my image. And with the image change also came a confidence change. And all of a sudden, I was being treated like a star. And I fought the word for a long time. Until
I had lunch with Rip Taylor. Wonderful man.
We were very close friends. And
great guy.
The sparkles and everything. And you mentioned Rip, loving him. At Rip's memorial service, Anne Margaret kind of snuck in the back. She wasn't glamorous. She had a hat on. She was wearing a turtleneck and slacks. And she did not want pictures taken. And when the memorial was over and the lights came up, people realized that Annie was there. And everyone wanted a picture. And my publicist, Harlan Bowles, silenced the entire crowd. "She's not taking pictures. Please let her through." And he looked at me and said, "Except for him. I want a picture with him," meaning me.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
So thank you, Rip Taylor.
There you go. Amelia.
Yes.
Final question of the night from you.
Yeah, Amelia, you haven't he's been talking the whole hour.
I know, right?
You've been sitting there being pretty. I'm glad you got the memo about wearing red. So
what have I haven't said. I have been so letting you take the show tonight.
I know.
Because the last time he was here, he wrote a little snarky note on our little inside chat here that said, "Shut the fuck up and let me talk." Tell my story. And I said, "Okay, smart ass, go ahead."
And that I learned from Milton Berle.
See, there you go.
Another guy I had an experience with. He tried to pick me up in Philadelphia. Actually, Valley Forge Music Fair. He tried to pick me up at the Valley Forge Music Fair. And he was in full regalia. He had the wig, the everything. He had the pumps on his feet. The guy was in full drag and loved to dress that way. And I just don't get it. I just don't know why. For a guy who called his penis the anaconda.
Well, I got to see it, and he was correct.
Yes,
but
am I lying? I'm not lying.
But in my experience with Mr. Berle over many years, I never saw him in drag unless he was doing it for a television show. I never saw him pick up men of any kind. I never saw that side of him. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I believe you.
I'm telling you, and I'll tell you where, when, and
I know he worked that music fair. So I mean, your story bounces. It's like, that really could have happened because he was there. But I didn't have that experience with him. Seeing his penis was just, he pulled you into the men's room at the Friars Club and showed it to you.
Absolutely.
That was his rite of passage.
He loved to show off. He loved to show it off.
If your penis was 9 inches long when it was soft, you'd like to show it off also.
Exactly.
So, Amelia, your questions are so spot on. I'm so glad you're talking. But Bill, it was Milton who taught me, make sure you're heard, make sure you get to your punchline. Don't let them cut you off. And if you're being interviewed by idiots, and not you guys, but I do hundreds of these every year.
Sure.
And some of these, he said, just let them ask one question and don't stop talking till the show is over.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And I acquiesced on that, and there you go. And
Amelia.
ladies and gentlemen, Geoffrey Mark will be back with us. I assure you.
Let the
When we
lady
go
ask.
off the air, do me a favor, Jeffrey. When we go off, just hang out with me for like 2 minutes.
I always
Because
do.
I need to check something out here. I tried to get a hold of you the other day.
Amelia,
tell
do you have a
everybody.
question? One question. Come on.
Oh, yes. They say that it's not a good thing to meet your childhood hero or your favorite celebrity. Do you agree with that? Because you might be disappointed.
Once or twice, I've met people who were jerks.
Mm.
I won't mention any names, Tom Jones, but
Mhm.
for the most part, meeting Lucille Ball was incredible. Talking to Frank Sinatra on the phone was incredible. Meeting Ethel Merman and Mary Martin and Zero Mostel and Carol Channing, they don't come any better.
Mhm.
No, I have not really. I've had only a very few. Andy Williams is a little difficult with me. When you read in my book, I talk about the ones I met who weren't very nice, and usually there was a reason for it.
Mhm.
Except for the first name I mentioned, and that whole story's in the book, where he was just so homophobic with me that I had to put him in his place, and I did.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So proud of you. Yes.
We've actually heard stories about Mr. Jones that he could be a little bit off-putting. Let's put it that. We'll use that word.
Oh, yes.
Amelia, what do we got coming up?
We have on the 14th that we have in the news. We're going to be talking about whatever's local in our news or around the world. You and I, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And October 15th, we have Dr. Diane Langle talking about medical mayhem in America.
I finally got a doctor to come on here who has no obligation to any health concern or company. And she is going to spill the beans on what hospitals and healthcare facilities are actually doing to you, how they are double, triple, and quadruple charging you for the same service under the guise of different names. We're going to find out a whole lot from Dr. Langle on this show. And I have 3 days, 3 consecutive days of what really happened to John F. Kennedy with the world's foremost expert on the Kennedy assassination. He will be here. And
don't forget on the 16th, that same Wednesday, we have Eastbound and Down coming back as well.
And the ultimate tribute to Smokey and the Bandit with the world's number one Jackie Gleason tribute artist. And this guy is scary good. Sean Bailey is the world's number one verified, ranked number one Jackie Gleason, Sheriff Buford T. Justice tribute artist.
Yes.
Also played Jake Elwood in the Blues Brothers on Legends in Concert, and a number of little secret, he played the fat Elvis. Okay. We won't talk about that. He doesn't want to talk about the fat Elvis.
He never liked to talk about that.
You know what? Pat McCormick, who played the real tall guy.
I love Pat McCormick. God rest his soul.
And little blonde
Paul Williams.
Paul, who's a friend of mine. In fact, I sing one of his songs. He's given me to sing. I know them. I've heard all kinds. So I can't wait to hear that show because I've heard so many stories from the two of them about the making of those films.
Well, Sean and Paul Williams are actually really good friends.
Good.
And we are we're working on. We're very, very close. We're working on getting Tanya Tucker here, and we are 95% there, and she is a wonderful, wonderful woman. We're getting a little help from some inside sources in country music, folks. Not mentioning any names, Lacey J. Dalton.
Right.
Our friend Lacey. Geoffrey, what do you got coming up? Where are you going to be? Where can people see you?
Well, everything I do, I post on Facebook. Geoffrey Mark. There's my name somewhere. So there it is, right there. I also post stuff on Instagram and X. My radio show, Geoffrey Mark Plays Ella, We're negotiating for a radio station in Los Angeles. At the moment, it's being heard in New York and San Francisco, or as a podcast on every platform you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
I've got the new Lucy book coming out next year. I've got my memoir, The Devil Was Born in Brooklyn, coming out next year. I don't think I have any bookings to sing for a couple of months that we would, want to mention. It's to be too far away.
Sure.
And I'm just, doing
So
shows.
your writing books is going to keep you busy for a bit.
Oh, it always does. It always does. These are my last 2 books.
Yeah.
These are the last 2, unless someone comes to me and says, here's a whole bunch of money, I need your help. But
Yeah.
I'm written out as far as the topics that will sell.
Sure.
That will sell. And I'd like to spend, whatever time I have left of good health and celebrity, singing, doing comedy, and making people happy.
Yes.
Beautiful. On that note, for
Yes.
Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, for Geoffrey, the Renaissance Man Mark, I am Angelo, the Mad Dog DeCipio, and this is America's Podcast. What's the Buzz? We'll see you, God willing, and the creek don't rise next time around. Take care, folks. Good night. God bless. Bye-bye.